Bum, ba-da, spooky. I love that, like, you can hear how it sounds, but they can't hear how it sounds.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's wonderful. This is very spooky.
Spooky, because it was a spooky movie.
Hello.
Was it a spooky movie?
We're
It was
live.
Yeah, we're
scary
live.
to watch.
We're-
We are
How long have we been
For
live?
a couple minutes. Probably since I snorted my nose and cleared my throat.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
Sorry.
Anyway, hello, everybody. Welcome to the What is Film podcast. It has a name now. It's the What is Film podcast.
I like it.
I feel like it should be What is Phil?
Actually, no, it's What Even
What is Film?
It's What Even Is Film.
What is
It's the-
negative
it's the
film?
What
Welcome
Even,
to where we discuss what even is Phil.
What Even
Who is even Phil?
Who is Phil?
No,
what
you want
is
better.
what is Phil?
Why
What?
is Phil?
What is Phil?
Why are you the way you are?
Yeah.
We accept you anyways.
Why,
Sometimes.
why are you here?
All right, we're gonna get started on a track of.
I'm just gonna hold it the whole time.
Are you really holding that light?
Yeah.
Well, that looks awk.
Look, because I'm just kind of awkward.
Do we need to like scoot in
I'm
like
just hey dad.
and move this mic
Can't
over a little
three
bit?
We might,
Yeah, let's try it.
Let's
Wait,
adjust.
am I gonna?
man.
Are we gonna triple? Are we gonna triple seat that?
We should just start this whole thing over and figure it out.
I'll edit it.
We need to figure this out. Hold
Let's
on.
just triple seat it.
Just all you do is just scoot
hold
over.
Sorry.
You don't have that big.
Okay.
What is happening?
And this is our collective mic
You know
right
what?
here.
We're just
Okay.
gonna keep
Ready
this all
for
in
this to be
because this is
rolling.
golden.
Nope.
Okay.
Going.
I'm
We're
the,
good.
I'm the editor. I can decide.
Going.
I'm gonna.
Going.
Alright. So
Going, talk.
I'm falling off. It's okay. Just a little bit.
All right.
I love you guys, but not really.
6'2", have broad shoulders.
Yeah. Fuck
You're
you.
broad.
Yeah,
He's a broad. He's a dame.
All right.
He's-
all right.
he's
we're talking about movies.
Ain't nothing
Film
like a
student,
day.
shut up.
we just saw Harley Quinn, the movie,
No, we saw Birds of Prey.
female Deadpool
And the
Featuring-
fantabulous emancipation
of Deadpool
of one Harley Quinn.
of the female Deadpool.
Basically,
The most useless name in all of cinema.
it's just 3 girls
There's 4.
featuring Harley Quinn and the girl.
Wait, this is all great and all, but I didn't introduce you guys.
Oh,
That
Yes.
is my good friend Ian.
Hello.
This is Nikel.
You already know. I'm
Okay.
not a good friend. What the fuck?
This is my great friend Nikel.
Great. That's
this is
better than
Alex.
good.
This is Alex's best friend, Nicole.
This is my #1 Ultra Super Saiyan best friend Metallica, Nikel.
Water stealer.
Well, yeah, Water Stealer,
Water Stealer.
aka Water Stealer. This is Colson Bulbs. We've had him on before,
Hey, everybody.
and this is my dad.
That's me. I'm Ben.
People probably think
He doesn't have a name, he's just dad.
He's
You're
just
like
dad.
into that, you know.
You can find him
You
on
know
all
that,
social
like,
medias
roleplay
Can I-
stuff?
under the name
Okay.
Dad.
While we're on the subjects of dad,
Okay.
and this, can we go over the fact that the black mask in basically the whole movie looked like a giant like BDSM like submission?
Yeah.
It was the greatest thing ever, though.
situation.
There's so many moments.
Like,
there was that.
especially with like the girls got a diamond sequence.
Okay,
Yeah.
stop.
Oh,
Stop.
Oh, yeah,
You're-
okay,
Wait,
okay.
straight up, there was one
You
part
guys
where
are jumping ahead.
Oh, yeah,
I
no,
just,
yeah, for the,
before we abandon this thread, there was a part
No
where-
spoilers.
where Ben just leaned over to me and it involved him, and he leaned over and just did BDSM. I laughed pretty
so
hard.
the first half of this thing that we're talking about, there's no spoilers. I will say that there is a spoiler section in the later half of the video.
Okay.
Yes.
Or sorry, yeah, for our audio listeners at home, there is a non-spoiler section.
Coolio.
We're all just gonna go wee woo. Spoilers ahead.
That was beautiful, Colby.
whenever
That's
it's
not what
time.
we're gonna do. Don't worry.
Nicole's like, this is stupid, and we're not doing
This is
that.
Nikel's podcast
idea.
now.
Yeah, the Nickelback podcast.
The Nickelback podcast. Hey!
The
Please-
Nickelback.
The Nickelback podcast.
Can we please just have photograph be the intro to every episode
No,
that
because I don't-
Nicole's on?
Okay, I want to make one that's like kill myself, like just all the
Kill
moments where I want to kill myself and just
I'm
talk
gonna
about my
Nickel
day.
myself.
Yeah, like I think that'd be because Nickel, like kill myself, but
Yeah,
kill
I
myself.
get it.
I think it'd be so fun. Just make a segment about
I'd
all
listen
the
to
moments
that.
in my life I want to die. So
I'd listen to that.
That
podcast.
sounds like my
That for
podcast
an
right
hour.
now. That's like something I would make. Anyway, movie. Back to the movie.
Movies.
Harley
Sorry,
Quinn.
guys.
I like this. Yeah, someone. This is the most guests I've ever had on the show. This is really fun. I like
It
this.
is fun.
I like this.
Yeah.
So Harley Quinn, that was a movie.
It certainly was
It was
a
a
movie.
movie.
Was a movie.
It had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
It did. 3-act structure.
Did it though?
I mean, it all kind of just
Ben is all
like,
pissed off at this movie.
the whole movie looked the same the whole time. Like basically,
completely.
if you watch the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes, you watch the same thing.
Yeah.
I will say this: I don't think the trailer marketed this movie very well, and I'm not just talking about the title, but all of the trailers that I watched for this movie, I kept being like, I guess I'll just have to see it because I didn't know what the tone was going to be, and this movie kind of had a very clear tone. I wasn't on board with it all the time, but it's like watching this to me, it felt like watching like a circus act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what Scorsese says about Marvel
Also-
movies.
This is a theme park movie.
Yeah,
It really is.
this
Like,
is it.
I mean, there is a theme park in the movie. Also, another thing, can we just talk about how annoying that girl's voice was? Like, I don't know why, because, like, when she, like, Harley Quinn, when she would talk, like, had actual lines, like, her voice wasn't like that, but when she was narrating, it was, like, such a baby voice. Like, did anyone else know?
it was like a baby voice mixed with like a New York accent.
Yeah, it was so odd. And then she would, like, say her lines, like, and it wasn't the same voice.
It was not good narration, I'll say that.
It was not Harley Quinn. It was Margot Robbie pretending to be Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a shtick.
Batman animated series is Harley Quinn.
Can I just ask the question? Like, oh wait, I'll save that for the spoiler section.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Parasite.
I was gonna add it.
A lot of what I have to say will be in the spoiler section because
What do you have to say that's non-spoiler?
I didn't necessarily like it.
I think Ben's hated it more and more. Like when we first got in the car, he's like, "This is maybe a 5.5 or a 6," and then I just heard him get like angry and be like, "This didn't make sense, and this didn't make sense," and then I heard him rational it like, "If I get more frustrated than I enjoy a movie, maybe," and now he's just like over it.
Here's the thing.
I've seen the cycle.
It was basically...
I enjoyed it that I saw it with my friends. Would I ever go see it again? No.
I swear I just saw this movie like I don't know when Suicide Squad came out, but like 2 years ago, I saw the same exact movie. Like, literally the same exact. Like, the cheesy title screens where they have the name at the bottom and a bunch of
Yeah, there
text
was a lot
that's
of that.
supposed to be funny, but it's like kind of funny, but you're kind of just like, I don't really care.
This one had more
Literally-
slow-mo, too.
Suicide
There
Squad
was
with
some
more
nice
slow-mo.
slow-mo.
I will say this: the whole name thing, I think, was funnier in this than it was in Suicide Squad. Because in Suicide Squad, there was a whole bunch of it, and all of it felt very useless. But like here, they made jokes about it. Like the guy who shot the thing at her, and it was like name, and it was like a question mark, and then it was like grievances, and it was
Small
just
eggplant.
like small eggplant with like that was funny. Like
That
Yeah,
was
there were some funny moments, but there was also just some stupid moments where I was just like, I felt like it was so overused.
I can
Like-
agree with that. Yeah.
I felt like I just saw the movie where they used this, and then now they're using it again, and
Yeah.
then they're using it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. I think almost everything that made this movie work at parts kind of got overused and then stopped working.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed the choreography, like the fight choreography, but there were times where there would be certain movements in the choreography that took me out of the movie. Like, in one of the first fight scenes when she's fighting those cops, like, she jumps like off of a wall and like twirls in the air, and like the whole time I was like, this looks really cool. And then as she twirled in the air, keep in mind she's fighting this cop and like trying to like harm him or kill him, and like she twirls towards him, and he like very visibly like reaches out his arms like a dance move and like catches her and then flips her over, and then she like hits him, and I was like, this is a dance, it's not a fight. It looked cool, but there were like moments like that was just like, that took me out of the movie.
I swear there
that's
was
why I
like 95% of this movie was just fight scenes. Like, did anyone count how many fight scenes? Because
There were a lot.
there were so many.
Good, like 35.
Like, so many. The whole time.
Well, are we
was just-
counting each individual one, or like when they broke them apart?
just like even if you just count each individual fight scene, like there's the fight scene where she gets to the like police office. This is just like the starting.
Let's save that for
spoilers.
spoilers.
That's true. Yeah, we will need to break that
Come on,
down.
Nickelback.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Calm
there's
down.
so
It's
many-
okay. We're all here catching each other before
Can
we
I
do
bring
it.
in something from our analysis class?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
We talked about invisible
No, you
style,
cannot.
This
and
is
that there
the
are
film elitist.
certain
We did.
rules
We
that,
talked about this today.
that need to be established in a movie. I can't remember the girl's name. Was it like
Physics
Turkle?
wasn't one.
Something like that.
Yeah, something Turkle. Yeah.
Something Turkle.
Something Turkle.
She's a theorist, and
Film theory.
and she says that movies can have any type of physics as long as you stick to your damn rules.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's paraphrasing.
That's basically the gist of it. Yeah.
But yeah, and I feel like this movie, it set it up great. It had all the physics there. Everything was normal.
All the rules were laid out.
All the rules were laid out. And then there was moments where in the third act, they just throw it out the window.
I agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hated the last fight of the third act.
I-
I was annoyed with
And
it.
it was just like,
Have mixed
wow,
feelings.
would you look at that? There are rules that have been broken. I am no longer in the movie, in the fight. I am just
That was me throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
watching.
I am in a theme park.
This is a very mixed movie for me because there were many moments where I was like, wow, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I think
Same.
just as many as those as there were moments like you just talked about, Ian, where I was like, that just took me out of the movie. And interesting take similar to that. I don't think Harley Quinn needed to be in this movie at all.
I think it would have been cool if we would have focused on one of the other female.
Yeah, like
Yes.
Huntress. It should have
Literally,
been her movie. It
her
would have been
movie,
so
or
good.
even the
Canary.
Canary. I wish they
Okay,
were on Canary.
I can
think that
literally.
was cool.
Can
Hold
we
it for
jump
spoilers,
to?
hold it for
When are we going to
spoilers.
jump to spoilers? Because I have. So
I
many
think we can
questions.
talk about Canary without spoiling
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Huntress, I feel like we need to wait because she doesn't come until
Or
later.
even,
What I wanna say
even
about
would've been
Canary, I have to
cool,
wait
like
for
the kid's
spoilers.
story. I feel like had
Well-
some depth there.
The kid kind of annoyed me.
I would
not
say
gonna lie.
roughly.
I liked her.
You liked her?
Yeah.
I'll say without spoiling it, the beginning of the movie, well, I don't think this is a spoiler because they kind of touch on the trailer, but the beginning of the movie is kind of just establishing where Harley Quinn is going to be, like post Suicide Squad to where she is now and like where her future is going to be in the DCEU. And then they start the story and like you get a little bit of her story, which is simple. And then you start getting Canary's story. And like the minute that they started telling her story, I was like, can we just stop with the Harley Quinn crap and just follow her? Because I was like super invested, and then they kind of stopped and went back to Harley for a while. And like every time I would lose interest until she was back. Like every scene Canary was in, where it was either just her being on screen or her backstory, those were the times I was most invested.
Another thing I'll say, like about Harley Quinn, like her character development just felt so
What, samey?
like all over the like I don't know. It was just super rushed in the beginning. It was all of a sudden, snap. Oh, she's independent. And then she's like,
Thanos snap.
and like I don't know. It just felt like she's the main character that's supposed to be telling this like backstory, and she had no depth at all.
It felt like she was literally there because, hey, you liked her in Suicide Squad. You also like Margot Robbie, and she's a funny character, right? We'll make her the main character. Like that felt like
Yeah.
that's the only reason she was in
Well,
this
that's
movie.
probably the
all
pitch.
the other
She had no
characters had
purpose.
So much more development and depth.
Doesn't
in them.
help that this whole movie was produced by Margot Robbie.
Yeah, that is.
She
That's
produced
true.
the movie?
She
Yeah,
did produce
She
it.
was one of the producers.
Yeah.
Wow.
One thing I
Did you see
did-
how many executive producers there were? There were so many. Like Jeff Johns, who's over DCEU, and then David Ayer, who made Suicide Squad. Like there were so many executive
I doubt
producers.
David Ayer had anything to say with it because he's out of DC.
That's true.
One thing, there was a lot of like, I think they did this because it's like the women power or whatnot, but like
Women power.
it is. That's basically the whole movie.
Oh,
like
yeah, it
with
was
these
definitely
badass women, but like at the like when the credits started rolling or whatnot, it was like a lot of like the first like 5 or 6 names that popped up were women's names. So
There was definitely
That was
like, women power.
I respect
Yeah.
that a
Oh
lot.
yeah, totally.
I thought that was cool. I'm like, okay,
And there was something that I can't remember if it was you or Staley or whatever. When we were leaving the climbing wall to head to our cars to go to the theater, we were kind of talking about like Harley Quinn as a character.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if it was you or Staley
It
who
was
said
Staley.
it. Was it Staley? And she was like, if you're going to choose a character to like
Empower
base
women.
around, to like present to teenagers and young girls as like this is a really cool cinematic like uplifting like role model badass character, like Harley Quinn's not the person to do that
Yeah.
with. And I think this movie proved that. Like this may not be the story, but to me this movie felt like someone had written a really compelling Birds of Prey screenplay based around Canary, Huntress, and the cop lady.
And they shoved.
And then DC was like, that's cool and all, but we don't think it's going to make any money. So why don't we put Harley Quinn in it and rewrite it to make her the main character? And I think that was where things went wrong.
yeah, I think that like they just chose the wrong characters to focus on. Like bottom line,
I agree.
you watch it and you're
Absolutely.
like see all these amazing like character development, like these badass women, and then there's Harley Quinn. and you're like, okay, she's psychotic,
Yeah.
blows some things up. Cool.
Cocaine.
Question
Yeah.
mark? Cocaine. Yeah, that was odd.
I think they're like, it almost felt. You guys ever watched Arrow?
I've seen the first.
I
Yeah.
haven't
I've
seen
watched
Arrow.
some of it.
So it's like
A lot of it. But.
I was gonna say it's like the third season of Arrow, thereabouts, where they don't focus on
Stephen Amell.
the Arrow anymore. They focus on his girlfriend, who this is a spoiler for Arrow. His girlfriend who dies, who didn't really die, but is saved by Ra's al Ghul and raised by him to become an assassin. It like focuses on her, even though the show was Arrow. It feels like that same concept where they're just trying to like, oh well, Arrow's in their like 9th season now. Maybe
It's been around that long.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's been a
Been
minute.
around since
It's like
I was in high
it's
school.
like
That
The
was what
Walking
launched
Dead.
the whole CW DC.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the CW.
It was.
I don't understand
Arrowverse.
how
And now
DC
it's
can do TV
garbage
shows.
with The Flash.
Okay, well, I like The Flash actually.
Excuse you.
See, that's like my favorite one out of all of
Heroes
them.
of
Actually,
Tomorrow.
Daredevil.
Yeah. I see your point
Daredevil's
though, Ian.
Marvel.
Daredevil's
though.
Marvel.
I see your
You're right.
point. It's this 100%
Daredevil's
felt like
good,
that.
That was great.
But
Anyway, back to the movie.
I don't understand how DC can do series well, but they can't produce a good movie.
They're different departments.
Well, no, I'll
Well,
disagree.
they should just fire their movie department.
I will disagree. I think that Shazam and Wonder Woman are good movies.
They are.
Okay, well, I will say
I think
have
those are
not
the two
seen-
exceptions to the
But
rule.
the DC animated department is off the chain because they make great movies.
Well, I think their best ones are direct adaptations. Like The Dark Knight Returns is really good, but that's
Oh, yeah.
literally a direct adaptation of Frank Miller's novel.
Anyway, we saw Birds of Prey.
Jump into
Yes, back to-
spoilers because I have.
No, I wanted to ask you guys what you guys what
Ask questions.
I saw. So I was watching the movie, and it was the greatest thing ever because like something would happen and Ben would just do this.
I saw that too. He did it so many times.
The Argentine in me.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not Argentine, I just lived there for 2 years, so it got a lot of.
And what did you?
For those who aren't watching the video, it's just Alec raising his hand and lowering it.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank
If
you,
you're-
audio only listeners.
If
you
you're
don't know what
listening
I'm
to this on
doing.
Spotify, imagine an angry Ben just sitting in a theater and then like going "Ah," and raising his hand like what?
No, like it's
like the
just
old
kind of.
man meme, like, why?
like Tom Hanks
Yeah,
at the
that's
Golden Globes, his face.
It's kind of just like a what is this?
Billie
like a-
Eilish.
Billie
whenever
Eilish
like a
just
face palm.
came on
It's a
during the
face
Oscars.
palm.
Yeah.
Like in front of your face, though.
I like the Billie Eilish
You
comparison.
don't actually hit your face.
Like-
the meme of Billie Eilish making the cringe face, that's all over the internet right now. That was Ben's face
That-
for
It's
half
like
of the
salt.
movie.
That was
The
me for
salt
the
dude,
majority
too.
of the movie.
Yeah. But how was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn? What did you guys think?
Okay,
confusing.
fine.
Like, it's
Shitty roll.
yeah.
Better screenplay.
I think given what was on the page, she executed it. I don't think that it's her fault. I think it's just bad writing. Like,
that's what it boils down to.
yeah,
in my
her character is very badly
She
written.
Felt to me, having not seen her backstory, only getting basically the Cliff Notes version in the first 30 seconds of this film.
That's true because you haven't seen Suicide
I haven't
Squad.
seen Suicide Squad.
Oh, really?
It felt very much like she's trying to be a female Deadpool
And so
without
That's all right.
losing to copyright.
And do you know what's odd? There's no setup to her being that in Suicide Squad.
No.
There's no fourth wall breaking in that movie. She doesn't like. She's obnoxious and kind of has like the annoying
quirkiness.
version that Nicole was talking about with the whole like her narration.
Oh,
That version of her is kind of like the Suicide Squad version of her, and then she turned into Deadpool in this movie like magically.
I
I
liked her a lot
hated
more
that.
when she was talking on screen than when she was narrating.
How many
Yeah.
lines does she have on screen, though?
I don't
Let's be
know, but
honest.
I
wasn't a lot.
But her narration was just so annoying to me.
I
the whole
liked
time.
Yeah.
her a lot better in Suicide Squad.
I
agree.
enjoyed the performance. I wish it could be better, though.
Oh
Yeah.
I at the end, the very like closing scene, I liked that performance. That was pretty good. There were some moments that I was like, okay, you're all right, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a actor saved the role, not the
Yeah.
character saved the actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
There was a lot of parts of this movie that, well, take that back. Not a lot. There were parts in this movie that I thought were like good moments. Like some of them were funny and everything, But then for me, immediately it'd be followed by something that I would do, the face palm, the Italian Argentine hand waving thing that I'm doing right now.
It's like Salt Bay.
Yeah.
Get to the meatball.
This movie
Italian.
reminded me.
It irked
Rage
me.
comment.
This movie reminded me a lot of how I felt during Alita Battle Angel. Like, there were a lot of really good parts, but then there were also a lot that was just parts that just did not add up.
I just didn't think she was that funny.
No.
That's fair.
Again,
tried to be.
think-
to the screenplay.
I
Comes
think-
to good dialogue.
Yeah, I think the best laughs of the movie weren't even like her delivering lines. Like, it would be like those funny caricatures behind like a grievance that someone had against
Yeah.
her, or like something that happened to her, or someone else delivering a line of dialogue. Like, those were the funniest parts to me.
For me, the funniest part was the small eggplant emoji grievance.
Yeah.
That
I felt like there were some funny parts, but honestly, they're not like memorable.
I feel like the humor in this was trying to be slapstick with a very surreal attitude.
I just
Yeah.
thought it was trying to be Deadpool the whole time.
I-
Just
I-
failed
I
I did too.
miserably.
It was so,
I
annoying.
will say, maybe this is just me, but my mind never went to Deadpool when I was watching this. Like, because Deadpool is like a well done film, you know?
That's how I would
Sorry,
describe
you saying
this.
wasn't a well done film, Kel?
Yeah, I am. I'm
Good, 'cause I
saying-
feel like
I can
Like,
see what I
it
can
was
see.
trying to be. It just failed.
I can
it's
see
straight
Nikel's sentiment of, yeah, Deadpool's a much better film, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
this movie I think tried to copy Deadpool's structure, not only with the fourth wall breaking, but with its story structure.
Did
like,
it break the fourth wall?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Did.
there
Like
were
every
at least
time.
3 or 4 times when like she looked like dead at the camera and like said
Oh
something.
yeah, you're right.
One of
you're
the
right.
few on-screen lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to what Ian was saying about like the surreal slapstick, I think that part was the smart parts of the movie, because given the whole like circus like act choreography,
Very
like
surreal.
yeah, the colors, the production design, like it definitely felt like that was the tone regardless. So I think that was a smart approach. It's just it didn't always land, like the jokes.
Yeah.
I will say I was digging the like color scheme and like the
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
tone,
cool.
like
Oh, yeah.
all the
The color in this movie was
the
good.
color was so good until the last like that last fight scene did like it just like
Just went
completely-
gray.
Yeah, it was
It
just
went
like
great, and we got a blue
so-
moon, guys. You see
yeah,
that?
it was so bright and colorful, and like my eyes were like wow. And then all of a sudden we got
I'm
to the
very
final fight
disgusted.
scene, and it was just bad. It was just,
Like
the
I
colors
said
were
before,
just bad.
they set rules up,
And then
break
they
them in
didn't
the
follow
third
them.
act.
I can't wait to rip this movie a new one.
So
There were some cool camera moves in that third act fight, but other than that, I
it
didn't
was
really
confusing
care for
because there's just so many different
we
things.
we talked about establishing shots and then breaking them down and
Yeah.
then re-establishing them. And this movie did a great job at establishing the shot, breaking down the shot, and then saying "fuck you."
We're not going to
We're not
reestablish.
re-establishing.
Yeah, I was
Exactly.
confused.
wait,
It was basically like they like jump down this like okay, I don't feel like this is spoiling, but they go down this slide, and after the slide, it just makes like it's just a fuck ton
they
of
just threw the
salt
logic
fire.
Yeah.
out the window.
Yeah, as soon as they hit,
They
the slide,
slid the logic out the window
Yeah.
through the slide.
through the slide.
through the slide.
I will
like,
say
it's
my-
the
exactly
crapshoot.
logic.
My favorite shot of the movie is in the slide, when the henchman's going after them, and it's like a POV shot from the henchman, and he like goes underneath Huntress, and then it follows her. Like that shot was really
That
cool.
was cool.
That was my favorite part of the entire
Yeah, and
movie.
then it's just like fuck you. Here's a bunch of random camera moves, and where are we? I don't know. Who is this? Who knows? Throwing this dude around. Yep.
Yeah, there wasn't a real sense. Well, and the movie did kind of try to like poke fun at that, but I don't think it like excused it. Like there was a part halfway through where there was a small break, and I think it was the cop was like, "When did she have time for a shoe change?" And it was like, "That's kind of haha, I get it." Like, but it still doesn't explain why we can't understand what's going on.
It's just like where are we? Like
Yeah,
there is like when you're making a fight scene, like confusion is okay because like it's acceptable. Like when we watch a fight scene, we can see a fast camera movement and we're okay with it. But the whole thing was just confusion and fast camera movements and just random body parts flying across the screen, and that was literally the entire 15 minutes. And I was just like,
yeah. The no reestablishment really just kind of screwed with your head.
yeah, like,
Really did. I never like thought about it. I was like, oh no, you can make exceptions to that rule.
And then we go see a
And then
movie
we
that proves
saw
otherwise.
A movie
You don't know
that
anything,
breaks
theorist.
the rule, and you think that rule should not be broken
Yeah.
ever.
We should talk to our professor about this on Thursday.
we have words with you, Professor.
Yeah.
Is that what you were gonna say a second ago?
No, I was just gonna ask if we're done with the non-spoilers because they're starting to dive into spoilers.
Yeah.
Do you have another question or something before we get into spoilers?
Real quick. I want to talk about my favorite part of the film. The best part, in my opinion, that was Ewan McGregor. He was hilarious.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, we've been talking a lot of shit on this
Black
movie. Ewan McGregor, I think, was the best part. Him
was
and
hilarious.
Canary were the two best parts.
Okay, his henchman though, or
Very
does he have a
sub-dom.
name?
Victor Zaz, I agree. The Scar guy.
Oh yeah.
Scar
Yeah.
dude. He felt overly dumb to me.
Well, and that's a big disappointment because if you know anything about the character Victor Zaz, it's a big letdown because he's supposed to be like an unhinged, like literally terrifying, like almost horror movie terrifying serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
Like they only hint at the one part, like when he like opens up, like okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but that scene,
Yeah.
like the line that he said, like that's a thing that he does, like in. If you've played the Arkham games in Arkham City,
It's very well done.
his backstory is terrifying. Like the game turns into a horror game in that part, and it's like when I see Victor Zaz on screen, that's what I expect. And you're right, it was campy.
It's just so cheesy. Like I felt like
Yeah.
I was watching like a 12-year-old. You know? Like,
Yeah.
he just felt so childish the
Yes.
whole time.
If we're gonna talk childish, though, Ewan McGregor I kind of guess it was his character. Acted like a baby the whole fucking movie.
He was hilarious though.
Yeah, but he was.
I
It
didn't
drove me
like
nuts.
him.
He was
I
just a
was dying.
mustache twirling villain that
Dying.
really had
Very
no
much
depth
that.
to him.
I thought that was fun though.
That was just that.
I liked it.
I liked him. I had
love
a
Ewan
good
It's not
McGregor
great.
so much. I love him, but this, after seeing him in Doctor Sleep,
I know.
Thank you, Alec.
Thank you.
This was a letdown for me. For what?
I enjoyed it.
I did not enjoy the movie.
some parts of his character, but I just felt like they couldn't decide what they were gonna do with his character because there's some parts
Yeah.
where he felt like a child, like towards the end of the film where he was like putting on his like getting into the
His BDSM mask.
yeah, basically he felt like this super powerful like character. And then there's like that scene in the bar, and he still feels. And then there's like the scenes where he's just like the guy calls him on the phone, and he's like crying basically.
No, yeah, you bring up
You're
a good
just like,
point.
That
"You're
was-
a
is
kid
true.
again." Like,
You do kind of bring up a good point. I did enjoy his performance, but you're right. There. When I look at the tone of the scenes that he's involved in, they were very different tones. Like the first couple scenes with him were very comedic and very slapstick and mustache twirling, and I was down for that. And then all of a sudden, you got that scene in the bar when he made the girl get on the table, and I was like, "This is very dark."
Yeah.
And very unsettling and not on board.
See, I
Yeah,
don't-
rest.
And-
Stick with one of the two.
Yeah,
they
they
were
kind of.
going with.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
They-
why I didn't like him.
I liked the dark tone that he but then there's like the dark tone, the funny tone, and the baby tone, and I'm like, oh, what? And
that-
that's how
then there's a
long-
That's fair.
tone.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
but
yeah.
You know what? You guys changed my mind.
yeah, fuck this movie.
I enjoyed him, but yeah, it's not good.
All right, so it's time to go into spoilers because we're towing the line a little bit.
Do
so
we
it's
want
We
time.
told the line
to? Do we
the
want to
whole
rate
time.
it before we do spoilers,
Oh,
or say that for the end?
And
Right, we rate it
we
first.
Take turns on the
Are we doing
spoiler
out of 10 or out of 5? I get confused.
I
Oh,
do
we'll do
out
that
of
at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll let Ian start and we'll go around the table. Do you have yours yet?
I don't.
Okay, Nikel.
Start with Ben.
Ben,
Probably
Dad,
has
do you
one.
say your rating?
Well,
Does anyone have a rating?
like
yet?
Colby said on when we first got in his car, I was like, yeah, I think this movie is like a 6 out of 10. And then started talking to him like, no, what? No, it's a 5.5 or a 5 out of 10. For me, this movie was a 3 at best.
That's what I gave The Lighthouse.
Brutal.
I thought the lighthouse was supposed to be good.
The Lighthouse is good.
We're gonna bring up a scene from The Lighthouse as soon as we
Okay.
get done with the
Can we
rating.
rate things? Wait.
Yeah.
Bipolar.
Mine is gonna be, I'm very mixed on it. I still had fun with it, but I'll never watch it again. So I'd say probably like a 5.75 out of 10.
That is a
Jeez.
very specific.
I know.
number.
That's
Yeah.
almost as specific as
I'm
Kaylin's
gonna-
rating last week. She gave it an 8.73.
Well, I do quarterly, like 2.5, 0.5, or 7.5.
I'm
or a
gonna give
whole.
it a 4. It's
4?
just like kind of fun in some parts, kind of shitty. Wouldn't watch again.
I guess coming around to me, I'd
Yeah.
give it.
No.
It's a solid middle of the ground. Like it was okay, wasn't the best. It's definitely not the worst.
Oh,
I'm gonna give it
definitely
a
not.
solid. I'd give it a solid 5.
I will say this about it. This was a step back for DC because they were on a roll with Shazam. They were on a roll with Wonder Woman. Granted,
I even had-
They do have-
They were on. They started going off with Aquaman.
I had
and then
more
we got
fun with
Shazam.
Aquaman. I gave Aquaman a 6. Like,
I
would watch
We
Aquaman
do
again. I
have
wouldn't watch
Wonder
this
Woman
again.
1984 coming up.
I'm not excited for that.
That's gonna be a
Shazam,
good
Shazam,
movie.
I think is
Excited.
peak DCEU.
R.I.P. bro.
We,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I
Oh,
still want to.
shoot.
I still want to
The
see
water.
where they're gonna go with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hope that movie's good because I really like the first one.
no, it's gonna be good. Cheetah's in it, and Wonder Woman's gonna lose her powers and somehow get them back.
I'll say
That's
this.
stupid. I
I'm
hate
here.
that.
I'm here for
not
the
here for
Suicide
that.
Squad, but it's only because Taika Waititi's in it.
Wait, they're doing another one?
Yeah,
They're
with James
rebooting
Gunn.
it, kind of.
As Adolf Hitler.
Like, some of the
basically,
actors
they
were
just
coming
made
back,
a
some aren't.
Suicide Squad, and then made a second Suicide
Well,
Squad, and then now they're rebooting the
like Spider-Man.
first
Well,
two
it-
Suicide Squad.
it's like a kind of. It's the most confusing thing because some of the actors who were in the first one are coming back. Like Margot Robbie's coming back, Jai Courtney's coming back, Olivia Wilde is coming back, but like Will Smith isn't. They're introducing a bunch of new characters. They're changing the tone. They're making it R-rated, and a new person's making it. But it's the guy who made Guardians who's making it. And Taika
Slither
Waititi's
and
involved, so I'm
Super-
like, I'm hopeful for that.
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
James Gunn, yeah, James Gunn's
man,
writing and
I'll just
directing
go
it.
watch it just for James Gunn. I love him.
Amen.
I literally
But yeah.
love him, and if he messes us up, I don't. I still love him.
He hasn't made a bad
So he'll
movie
be like
in a long
third on my
time.
list.
We
Essentially,
given all of our ratings.
I haven't given mine yet.
If
Okay.
James Gunn stumbles upon this, don't screw up the Suicide Squad, or Nikel will find you,
Too late. They've wrapped.
and it won't be
I
pretty.
don't-
She
okay.
will make you Nickel yourself.
Literally, let me tell you something. If Suicide Squad turns out to be like the new one or whatever, it turns out to be shit. It wasn't James Gunn's fault. It was someone else. We're just not gonna
Pass the
put the
buck.
blame on him because
Okay.
I love him.
I want to
Anyway,
hear.
Alec.
I
Let's
wanna-
get
Alex
Alex.
rating.
Let's get Alex
God,
rating
why
before we go to
So-
spoilers.
When the film started, I was like, wow, this is actually better than I thought it was. And I was like, wow, I might be giving this maybe even a 7. Wow, this is actually not bad. And then it just went downhill from there and it just kept getting worse until we hit Act 3. And then that was just, I don't know what the hell happened there. It started off so good. And then like with when their intro, I was like, I'm into this. And then Canary, then I was like, okay, this is cool. And then Ewan McGregor, I loved him. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. So I'm gonna give this a 5 because I didn't hate it, but like I didn't completely hate it, but I didn't love it at all either. It's completely middle of the road for me. So same rating as Ian. 5.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah.
now that we're
Spoilers.
now we're spoilers.
We're going to
Spoiler alert for
Click off
anyone.
now if you're going to see the video.
Yeah, spoilers.
Honestly.
Thank you guys for listening. If you are leaving now, but we're about to go into spoilers. So
Cool.
Are we gonna
Okay.
take?
Or if you just don't care about
Spoiler talk.
spoilers, keep listening.
Honestly,
Yeah,
like, you
spoiler talk.
probably shouldn't watch this.
I
movie.
want to start because I had a freaking thing that I wanted to say like 10 years ago, but y'all overstepped, kept talking.
You know
guys
what?
were quiet,
Be
and then
more
you would talk
assertive.
over me.
I
More
apologize.
assertive.
And so
This is a podcast. This is the Uncut Gems podcast.
You should
'cause
just
I don't
say
know.
what you're gonna say.
When I listen to a podcast, I don't want to hear 1,000 people talking. And when I would start, somebody else would talk,
Ian,
but louder.
just say what you're gonna say.
He got his rant done. Now he can go.
I'm gonna step off my soapbox.
No one says that. You're not 90.
Well, Hunter says I'm going to step off my Apple box, but
Okay,
please say it.
and we're gonna go back to freaking the henchman,
Okay.
Mr. Like gray hair, like Jaden Smith from 2019 looking homie.
Zaz?
Victor
Zaz.
Zaz.
Victor
Scar guy.
Zaz.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're gonna go to him. And
Okay.
the way he acted, I'm gonna tie this into the lighthouse.
Okay.
Is the way that I thought that Willem Dafoe acted around Robert Pattinson at the beginning of Act 3 in the lighthouse while they're going to dig the cave. Like, you understand, like, the sub-dom situation in the lighthouse?
Yeah.
I felt like
yeah.
I felt like he was very much that submissive, like dog almost
Yeah.
to
He was like a pet.
Roman. Yeah, because he acted like it. He had like when he was getting ready to cut Harley Quinn's throat, he's got this like hunched back and he's like ready for it, and then he's like upset about it, and he's all sad and he's crying and he's like very sub.
When he was very jealous of anyone being with Black Mask too, because there was like that scene when Black Mask hired Canary and was like showing her around his office, and you could just see him like, he was like so annoyed, and he was like hunting for any reason to get him to stop doing that, and finally he was just like, Harley Quinn blew up the access chemicals, and that like got his attention, and then he like,
She's like, come on, why didn't you say so?
His character just felt like a child.
yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot
a
of
little
children in
kid.
this movie.
The whole
But, like-
yeah.
Like that character in particular, like very much reminded me of the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
I'm low key annoyed at what they did with Victor Zsasz, like with what Colby was saying, because he's supposed to be like this really terrifying
Also-
guy.
Yeah.
While I'm speaking, I'll start off our spoilers.
Yep.
To me, this movie felt very much like John Wick 3 trying to be Deadpool, but is written by a girl. And it's performed by a girl. Well, not written by a girl, but like performed by a girl. Because
I think
it's
it's written by a girl.
It was certainly
probably.
directed by a girl.
Probably
I noticed
is.
that.
I'm
definitely.
pretty sure it's written by.
I don't want to go into that because
Because he doesn't want to be sexist.
She said it.
You crossed the line
True.
already.
He already did, but
true.
that's okay.
I didn't mean to say written. I meant to be like supposed to be like a female Deadpool because Harley
That's-
Quinn breaking the fourth wall.
I think what you're getting at is that the point of this movie, in your point of view, is they were trying to copy and paste a bunch of franchises that were based around males, but make it cater towards women, but it wasn't successful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, you had the breaking the fourth wall of Deadpool. You had them taking care of the kid, like Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
And then you've got fight scenes because everybody wants to kill him. Now that's John Wick,
John Wick 3. Yeah.
Where everybody wants to kill John Wick because
He's John
freaking
Wick.
Continental is like, oh, you kill somebody in our hotel.
Yep.
Time for you to die now.
Uh-huh.
And so all the mercenaries are after him. And so it's basically the same thing. It's like, oh, she broke up with the Joker. Guess what? She's free game. Everybody go kill her.
I will say, I don't feel like this movie's trying to copy anything necessarily. I just feel like it's, I don't know. It's just poorly done.
I think
Like,
It's okay, Dad.
because, I don't know, like, you can't say, oh, it's this and this, you know, because it's basically, like, The Good Dinosaur is Lion King, but would you accept that? Because it's a good movie.
The Lion King copied its story from
The
somewhere.
Lion King
Like,
literally
like-
just
well,
copied
a lot
that.
of things copied The Lion King.
lot of
Black
things-
Panther copied Lion King too.
Everything copies
Which
everything.
copied Shakespeare.
Well,
I'm talking Lion King, like,
I think-
straight up plagiarized this other animation.
I think there's
I
a
was gonna say it's a Japanese anime that's exactly the same.
I think that there's a difference between taking inspiration from something and having a similar story to another one and being really good, and then someone being like, let's just be like this one, but not improve it. Like, that's what this felt like. Because, like,
Yeah.
the story structure of this is almost exactly the same structure as Deadpool. Because of the first Deadpool movie, you start off with that action scene on the turnpike, and he constantly goes back in time and like breaks the fourth wall to be like, wait, to understand this, we need to go here. And like, he doesn't get off of that turnpike until like an hour into the movie. And that's still like the opening scene because they keep going back. But in Deadpool, it works because
Ryan Reynolds.
it's all focused and story based, and
this.
it fits tonally. But here, it felt like it was just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
Like every time she kept being like, "Let's cut back to this." We didn't need to cut back to it at that time.
It didn't
was
even
just
make
doing
sense
it.
how she figured out. Like, there's this sequence where she like goes the police sequence. They didn't actually explain how she got there. They just said that.
She just showed up.
Yeah, she just shows up.
She didn't even know who the kid.
Yeah, where did she
We
get all of
don't
her
know
weapons? Where
explanation.
did she get all of her? Yeah.
Well, we didn't even know how she found out that
Yeah.
the kid had the diamond.
You're good.
Actually, we didn't find out how the kid had the diamond from anyone.
Yeah,
The
she
kid just
pickpocketed
had
it
the-
from Zaz.
Yeah.
When did we find that out?
but when
It
how-
showed
when
it in a
did-
flashback.
Yeah, when did Harley Quinn
when
find
did Harley
Yeah,
find that
'cause
out?
they didn't tell her.
They didn't tell her. Like, we didn't find, and then the other girl found out because she had the freaking little notification from LaWanda.
How did Harley Quinn know about it before the girl told?
Because she
Harley.
says
Because they found it in a police report or something because it showed her mugshot.
when Harley's
Quinn?
about.
No. The little girl. It showed her mugshot on his phone, and then that's after Harley Quinn leaves. They send that text to everybody.
No, but Harley Quinn doesn't find out that she sent that text out until after she already has
Yes,
the girl.
Yeah.
but he still has the mugshot on the phone.
But
'Cause
then
that's how they
he
found out
doesn't
who did it.
show
Harley is never told on screen, and it's never explained on screen or in the screenplay how she found out about the diamond. She's literally about to die, and she says,
I'll get it for you.
I heard you're missing something, a diamond, and we don't know and are never told how she got that information.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's some fucked up dream sequence right in the middle of that scene.
Okay,
That was weird. That was interesting.
yeah. Can we? Okay.
Ewan McGregor,
Can
man.
I
If the
step?
whole movie had been that, I would have been fine with it.
Can I step on my soapbox for a second?
Please.
Please,
Okay,
Dad.
here-
Take the
here
mic
we go.
in full. Here you go.
Okay, so in my advanced screenwriting class, my professor hates flashbacks. Absolutely hates them.
Yeah, he does.
There are very few ones that he thinks works. One of mine that I really love is Signs, because that fills you in on stuff that is, I guess, detrimental to the character of that Mel Gibson plays. And you find out at the very end why all these flashbacks mattered. But in this, all the flashing back, it gets so annoying. You didn't need to go back and explain all of that. You could have had it said in like one or two lines. For example, of Huntress and her backstory, you could have had that said in one line from the cop reading a police report or something. But they just didn't work. Like it killed the momentum every single time they went and did a flashback of introducing a character, because we can. For me, it killed the momentum. I did not like that. And then when we get to the police station, one, how'd she know where to go? But two, how the fuck do the police officers in the background don't hear a beanbag gun shooting an officer in the face, and they're walking like it's just fine, and she gets off
confetti
like
cannon.
Yeah, and a confetti cannon. She gets off like 3 shots before anybody notices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many questions.
So many questions.
I will say, going back to what you said about exposition, it's ironic that this film has one good example of good exposition and one example only. It's when Canary's leaving the house and the detective is questioning her, and she's like, well, hey, your mom used to help. And then Canary gets like really emotional and it's like, hey, my mom died helping you guys out and y'all weren't there to help her. Like, that's a good example of backstory, because you're not using a flashback, you're not stopping the movie dead to do it, you're having a character building moment while you do it, and you're letting the audience at the same time know without directly telling to them a certain character's backstory and information they need to know. Like, that's a good example, and that's the only time the movie did it.
There is so many interesting parts of this movie and interesting characters, and we just don't. They're just like good moments.
We didn't learn nearly enough about Canary.
I
would watch a Canary movie.
At the end, I had zero clue about that whole powerful voice thing.
Yeah, they made-
I was just like, what the...
Yeah,
I knew because I
So
read
at-
the comics.
Yeah, but throughout
But,
the
like-
entire movie, they make no mention that she's a metahuman. No
There-
mention at all.
there
Or
is-
why she doesn't want to use it.
There's a
Yeah.
very brief moment where they kind of hint to it, and if you are not paying attention, you're not going to catch it. Like in the first scene where she's singing,
the glass
she
breaks.
holds like a really high note, and like
Oh,
you
but
see
that's bull-
you see the glass shake, and like you hear like this sonic noise, and then it shatters. But it's like
But like
the movie doesn't draw attention to that or that
I'm
later
pretty
on.
Sure
Well,
that,
they, like-
that works in real life. Like
They-
though,
Yeah,
so-
that's what I didn't think anything of.
They
it.
don't explain it at all. You're right.
Yeah, it was very much like a normal human thing that can happen. It's not like some giant, powerful force that can come out and
Yeah.
destroy 20 cars and
And send
Kill
Harley
50
Quinn flying 5 blocks on rollerblades in a fucking amusement park where there's gun shells everywhere. How the hell did she not roll over one and fall on her face?
or
I
hit a
just have
pebble.
so many
Yeah.
questions. Like literally, like that part,
I
like
have-
ruined. Honestly, that part like ruined the entire movie.
I
for
feel
me
like
because
they cut out stuff for Canary.
I will say this too.
I had
Sorry.
no idea she was a
The-
metahuman.
The whole Canary using her powers at the end too feels like an issue that a lot of past DC movies have had, which is like not using your powers creatively, because it's like, okay, I get it for Harley Quinn and for the cop and for Huntress, you literally don't have any powers, but it's like you have all these 3 normal women with a super powered person the whole movie, and all the super powered person does is just punch people a whole lot. And then all of a sudden she uses her powers at the end, and I'm like,
They don't explain why.
that's
why
not
she didn't
creative
wanna
use of
use them.
powers. That's not creative use of character, and that's not like, that's just bad writing.
Yeah, it made no sense. I
Oh,
was
can-
so confused.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, can we please, going back to what Ian said earlier about setting your own rules and then breaking them for no apparent reason.
Yep.
There is a scene where Harley Quinn is stitching on the back of the car that Black Mask is in. She gets in the front and somehow, like she does something, but both Ewan McGregor and the little girl are not buckled up. And then they are at least going 60 miles an hour, and they go head first into a fucking statue, and they don't go flying into the front seat, which scientifically will happen every time if you don't have a seatbelt on. And are they harmed? No. They get up and walk away. What the fuck?
I will say this. I think that is actually the one time the movie does follow that whole making up the physics, because the movie does have a lot of scenes before where similar rules are not being applied. Like you said,
didn't
like
make any sense.
her-
Cop goes flying out the freaking second story
yeah,
window.
that
He just shoots
that
the
happens.
Back up.
And then
He's
the,
like, what's up?
the scene that you mentioned earlier when she's firing off the gun in the police station and no one's responding. Like, how many times does Harley Quinn get hit by a car or something and go flying? Like, there are so many moments like that all throughout the movie that, like, I don't so much as get hung up on that, because
They all
the
make
movie has clearly established at that point that normal Earth physics don't apply. But that's still not like that's not that much of a plus.
It's
Like,
not constitution enough.
There's certain ones
There's-
that should be
There's-
remain.
It doesn't give enough constitution to the fact that we have a metahuman who can blow her
that is true.
all
That is
the way
100%
across
true.
Gotham,
Yes.
even though it hasn't been established at all.
Yeah,
Speaking-
that was the worst thing for me, is because I know nothing about
So it completely just came out of nowhere.
yeah, and I was like,
John Cena.
okay.
John Cena.
Speaking of
We're
Gotham,
out here.
a spoiler that I almost said earlier that I'm going to go back to now that it's in my head again. Where was Batman the whole time?
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Ben Affleck.
He
is
was
not in the movie.
non-existent because we don't have a Batman right now, but that still doesn't explain setting your movie in Gotham City, having all of this crazy crime go on, and then there's literally no mention of Batman.
See, but they
You wanna
talk
know-
about
Like, not even in a lazy
Well,
way.
They talk about the fact that she was locked up by Batman,
That's the one time.
but there's no mention
It's
of.
like, where's Batman when this type of thing's happening?
He was
'Cause you-
trying.
You think he would have at least been around or mentioned at some point. And I get the reason why he wasn't is because, they don't have a Batman in this universe right now because Ben Affleck was fired. And
was
this
he
new-
fired?
Yeah, they.
Yeah. And then this new The Batman that they're doing with Robert Pattinson is supposed to be its own world, like the Joker. Like, it's not going to connect to everything. So it's like, I get why film-wise, but like, even still, if you're going to not have a Batman right now, make it so where you can at least explain why he's not being called. Like, again, it's done in a super lazy way, but in Ant-Man, they finally address, like, there's this power and, like, this evil power coming up, and then Paul Rudd's first thing is he goes, I got an idea. Why don't we call the Avengers? And then they have to explain why they can't call the Avengers every time. Like, at least do something like that to explain why Batman can't be around. Like, even if it's done in a lazy way, like, at least just do it. And there was no attempt.
One thing that bugged me, and maybe this was just me thing, this whole freaking movie is based off this breakup, and she just goes, we broke up. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so, like, I would have liked to seen what happened, like, I don't know, literally anything more than we broke up, like...
Can we please acknowledge that there was a new Joker that we have never seen before, because Jared Leto was not on set for the one shot where you see the back of Joker giving the tattoo on that guy's face.
Yeah.
So there's another person who has played Joker that we have no idea who he is.
Also, the fact that the picture that she drew is not.
It's Jack Nicholson's
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is comic Joker.
Well, and even more confusing, they show backstories like when she's about to drive into Access Chemicals. They show the flashback shots of her like getting thrown into the bat, and it's like footage from Suicide Squad. But I'm like, oh, they're being strategic and not showing Joker. But then there's a shot of her like getting pulled out, and it's Jared Leto's Joker, and you can like see him. He's not in focus, and you can't see his face, but you can see the back of his head. And so I'm like, okay, this is really confusing. And again, it's the whole like Jared Leto not being Joker thing. But again, find a creative way around that to not confuse people.
Yeah, like we broke up is just boring. Like,
Yeah.
It was kind of
okay,
weird
you're
how
wasting a whole movie on this. But
Yeah.
you're
When
not
did they
giving us-
break up?
Yeah, when did they break up?
the
Why
beginning,
did they
beginning of the
break up?
movie.
Again, magical way to
How
fix.
did they break up?
Again, magical way to fix all of that.
Why did they break up? Is
Just
the question.
Just yeet Harley out of the entire film and make it a Birds of Prey film.
So
Exactly.
where was Joker this whole time? Because they
We
didn't.
don't
They
know.
didn't
We don't
explain
know.
why he wasn't there.
We don't know.
In Arkham.
They kept going like.
Back in
They
Arkham.
kept
None of
going.
it was
Joker's
like-
gone. It's like, is he gone though? Because you guys
Yeah.
are all acting like he's still there.
No, that is true. At one point, Black Mask is like, "Oh, if they're broke up, then no one's gonna stop me from killing her." And he says it as if the Joker is still around. And then later in the movie, again with no explanation as to why, he's like, "I run this city," and I'm like, "Do you though?" Because the Joker is apparently still around. Like,
yeah.
Is he
Yeah, I
around?
felt
Is he
the
not
same way.
around? And they do that weird cartoon thing to explain the backstory too. So like, I would have
beginning, yeah.
even been fine if like there's some parts where they don't have a set Joker. So there's like, screw this, we're just gonna animate this in cartoony. I would have been more fine with
I
that.
wish they did that.
Yeah, that
honestly.
would have been like okay, or like Joker cartoony version like runs to another city for some odd, stupid reason, but
Yeah.
it's acceptable as this is not a movie about him.
yeah.
Anyways, if they literally would have explained anything that's going
Even
on.
in just a lazy way, I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So.
This movie drove me nuts.
Yeah.
There's a tonal issue I want to talk about too. Can we talk about how this movie was kind of a hard R, but the entire tone, sense of humor, and
Was PG-13.
the everything about it was like,
PG.
yeah, it was like PG. Like it was like you could tell this movie was aimed at like 12 and 13-year-olds. But they're never going to be able to see this movie because it's rated R. Like, it's like, did this movie need to be rated R? Because I don't think it
Was
did.
rated R.
It was only
The
for
language and some of
for
It was
language?
it was violence and language. Like, well, and there was like,
It wasn't even that violent either. It was just like.
But, like, you
one or
can
two
get away
scenes.
There
with,
was,
like,
I guess,
there was
nudity
so many-
because
you
it
can
was
get
drawn.
there was nudity.
Well, no,
in it.
because it was drawn.
there's a lot of stuff violent wise
But
that's like
you
the
can't
gray
be
line.
marked for drawn nudity.
Was there
That's
drawn
true.
nudity?
Well, no,
I don't
and
Well,
remember.
on his wall,
There's
his
a-
weird like mask room.
there's
Those walls and all the walls.
Oh, I don't
there's
think
drawn
you
nudity
could
in
stop
some
for that.
PG-13 films, and also you can actually show breasts in a PG-13 film as long as they're not in a sexual context. That was not the issue in this movie. It was the violence and the language. There was a lot of R-rated language, and like there was a lot of like. It's not that it's super gory, but like you can't show that many bone
very-
breaks on screen with the sound effects that you have and the blood coming out of it. Like that's not PG-13.
It was very Kingsman. Of
Yeah,
violence.
yes, very
Where
Kingsman.
it's like it's not really R, but it is.
Yeah. Also, going back to
Didn't
like
fall
the
R-rated.
physics of the movie, this just came to my mind. Okay, if Harley Quinn just jumps up from standing onto his driver's legs and breaks them, how do they walk away unscathed and with nothing broken when they go flying into that statue? That makes no sense because there's
Movie
more
physics.
force generated from the car going 60 miles an hour crashing into the statue versus Harley Quinn, who
See?
probably weighs $125 soaking wet, jumps on the guy's shins, and then breaks his knees.
Again,
Ben is really hung up on
we
the
went-
car crash.
What about the van
'Cause
when
I
she flew
fucking
into the
hated it.
van?
I fucking hated it. It made no sense.
Again, their
When we
physics are set
went
up
down
to
the
be.
slide. We went down the slide, and physics were just like, "Fuck you."
Again, these physics are not set up to be Earth physics, but
still-
comic book physics.
But there has to be a balance of like, or the consistency with his legs breaking with a 125-pound woman jumping on his legs and breaking them severely versus a car crashing into a solid object.
But if you look at it in the same context, that car crash going 60 miles an hour is the same force as a football player on the starting line on on that hike.
But they're not in seatbelts. Like if they were in seatbelts, I would be more like willing to give on it.
Wear your
But they
seatbelts,
should have gone
kids.
flying over the seats. They should have gone flying over the seats.
I'm okay with the car crash thing. It was so fast, it was so subtle that I was just like, whatever. They got
Ben is not.
Ben is not.
There's
He's very
so many other
upset.
things in the movie that just
I am
happened that I was
irked.
just like, oh my god,
My
this
feathers
doesn't
have
make any
been
sense.
ruffled.
But
I think that was like the tipping glass for you, where I was just like, yeah, there's a lot of things that don't.
Yeah,
make
that was the
sense,
straw that
but
broke the donkey's back for me. Like, fuck this movie.
There's a lot of things that don't make sense in the movie, like especially in the last 15 minutes. Literally, that last fight scene.
I hated the
it
third
was
act.
just so.
I did too.
I liked the
I-
very, very end. The very end where they like all you see their separate ways
That was
and
cute.
their little groups. Okay, and
I
then
thought
she
the
walks
costumes
out
were
and she's
stupid.
like a badass. The cop walks out. You're like, oh, that's pretty dope. Harley and the Quinn, or Harley Quinn and the girl.
Harley and the Quinn.
Harley and the Quinn. They're like in the car. I liked that.
I have a very unpopular opinion that I'm going to give right now, and it's you guys will
Do
not
it.
believe me.
Please.
Do it.
I would rather watch Cats again and pay for it than ever see this movie again.
Damn.
I would purchase Cats before
I wouldn't
purchase
go
it.
I
that
haven't
far.
seen Cats, so I can't comment on that. But
I would
damn,
agree.
You would agree. I know, you love cats, though.
I can't say much.
He's like,
Everyone's
best
gonna be
movie
like,
2019.
anything
Yeah.
me and Satan is not valuable because he liked.
I will
cats.
say that like my favorite scene
I love
out
your
of this
wallpaper.
entire movie is after they go shopping and they're chilling on the couch eating Tutti Frutti.
That was the greatest
like,
thing ever.
Which is like off-brand Fruit Loops.
that was the only
know.
fun scene with Harley
I know.
Quinn.
Watching Looney Tunes, like what could get better than that?
That was. I mean, there were parts, very few parts that I'm like that I liked. Like I told Colby on the car ride. If like I like a lot of bad movies because I can enjoy them. If I enjoy a movie, like I'm fine.
Yeah.
But for me, this movie, it irritated me so much that all the enjoyment I had from it while watching it with those specific moments is worthless.
Seatbelts!
Speaking, kind of piggybacking off the physics thing, there's one thing that bugs me. This is just like set up for an action film. One thing that you don't want to do in an action film is make your hero or protagonist or heroine or whatever. You don't want to make that character
Heroin.
a invincible like god. You want to give them at least some sort of a weakness, whether it be physical or mental, that makes them feel vulnerable and that they could actually be defeated, because that builds suspense. There was zero of that with Harley Quinn. Like every single fight scene that she was in, she was like some superhero that was like breaking every guy's leg that
Super
she
gymnast.
punched or kicked, and like there was not a single moment where like she got beat up or bloodied or like hit at any point. It was just like her, it was like God mode on Grand Theft Auto of her just beating the hell out of every person that she played and fought against. And there was just like, I never once felt like, oh, this is a character that could be in danger at any point.
Her weakness wasn't in the movie.
Like
because
good action movies do that, like Indiana Jones, John Wick, Terminator, like all those heroes in those movies like get beat to a pulp, and like throughout them you're like, wow, this is intense. But like there was not any of that in this.
I would say that she is set up to be a goddess per se in this movie, but it does bring up that she does say that like vengeance and anger
Yeah.
is like a huge weakness, which is kind of weird because like that's basically like her whole
thing.
intent on killing everybody
That's true.
And
was because she got mad at the Joker and decided to blow up Ace Chemicals.
What?
Sorry,
Nick-
guys.
Nickels.
I dropped a pin. Right over
Hold
there.
on, we gotta
Okay.
stop the podcast.
Hold
Take a
on.
pause.
but
I
Nickel
think
dropped a
you're
pen.
Okay. Just
Oh, okay.
watch yourself.
to
Okay.
to go back
Okay.
to what Colby was saying, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Yeah, Harley Quinn had no weaknesses. They had one opportunity to give her one, and that was Joker. If Joker was in it, that would have broken her because she loves him.
Just get walking
Well, and how
fingers to-
how cool would that have been if the Joker just showed up at some point? I mean, like, yeah, you would have had to cast a new person,
Even
but
if
still,
he didn't show up,
that would have been a huge surprise.
Like a
So
phone
like,
call.
what if, yeah, like a phone call, like just like her opening up like Like she's getting a phone call or something, and it says the Joker or the J.
Mr. J
Mr.
or
J.
Puddin'.
If she just like declined it, that would have been like a huge, or like you see
Yeah.
like this.
Or you just
battle
like
bad.
see her like she like gets it like right before the fight.
Yeah, she's like
He
all like
shows up
disoriented.
at the fight with all of his henchmen, and they just wipe out Black Mask.
But no, instead, 12-year-old Victor Zsasz shoots her with a dart, and she's like kind of paralyzed for like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden, inexplicably,
back to normal.
has movement again, and she even has to say, I'm back, as if to tell us like, yeah, don't worry about the fact that I was just paralyzed. I'm fine.
Oh, don't worry,
later.
she's back. It's
I'm
okay.
fine. Okay, I thought it was funny when she was like, the cop comes in and she's like, nobody move, and then she freaking stabs him.
yeah, that
was funny. That was funny.
That was one of the parts I like.
No, I will say what I did like
finest.
Harley Quinn, like one of the
I have a
moments.
cheap
What a
comedy.
So we talk about before this happens. We talk about it's just
Price
business.
of
You
Rice
know,
and
I don't
China,
remember
guys.
who says that, but someone says it's just business. And then you like hop back in, and it's the scene with the Fruit Loops and whatnot. And then it's like the Gotham PD or whatnot. And she's like, no one knows we're here unless, besides what's his name? We don't.
Doc.
Doc, okay.
Yeah.
And then she like walks down, and Doc's like, it's just a business, and you can like see that's when like Harley Quinn like switches, and she's like, oh screw this, I'm putting giving the kid up. But I thought that was a good moment for a minute, because you can see her, and then all of a sudden it just jumps to her giving the kid up. I feel like they almost had it. It was like so close
For
to
a
me.
minute.
They had it for
Yeah.
a minute with her like, but they just jumped way too fast into her all of a sudden being like, I have the kid, meet me in an hour at the amusement park.
It just sucks because this movie could have been really good. Like it could have been good.
Again,
It could have.
I think that
Could have been
I
good.
think the
Lack of
easiest
script.
I think the easiest fix to this movie is just to yeet Harley Quinn out of it and just focus it on the Birds of Prey. Because they were the most interesting parts. You could tell that that's where the writer had the most interest in, and Harley felt very like forced.
Yeah, I would have loved a Black Mask focused Canary film, like exploring her and then like having like the Huntress come in and
Yeah.
Renee Montoya.
I would watch a Canary movie.
I would because
I would watch a Huntress
I liked
movie.
that
I
whole
loved her character.
dynamic that they all had. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, like the cop, Canary, and Huntress were easily the best parts of the movie to me.
And Ewan McGregor.
And they only got 5 minutes of backstory.
How like the whole movie would have been so much better had instead of them in the last 10 minutes of the movie get together and team up, how about they team up in the second act? And then they're all trying to protect the kid, and they have several smaller fights leading up to that big badass one at the end.
And if the badass one would have been badass.
Yeah,
the badass
it
one
would have been
badass.
it would have been such a better movie that way.
Reestablishing shot.
I will say this: I think this movie's better than Suicide Squad because at least this movie didn't have a bunch of rando normal people with no superpowers fighting aliens in a sky beam like what the Avengers level people would need. Like it was normal people
the exact
fighting
problem
normal
with
people,
Suicide
and the
Squad.
stakes were normal, and there was at least some enjoyable parts. Whereas Suicide Squad is just a jumbled mess that has nothing going for it.
I disagree. I like
Suicide Squad
I
has
liked-
Will Smith, and that's a lot.
Yeah, but Will Smith's not exactly
He's not
in his prime anymore. You know, like not everything he does is great right
I
now.
know, but I like Will Smith.
I
do
liked
too.
Suicide Squad more. I felt like there was more like this movie. Just like I can pick and choose good moments, but like Suicide Squad, I was like, all right, that's kind of stupid.
Suicide
but
Squad was
I
more
enjoyed it.
consistent.
Yeah.
I'll say that. That's how I feel.
I think that movie's a mess, but
It is a mess, but it's
That's
a
okay.
consistent mess.
we can disagree. That's
can
fine.
disagree. Parasite.
That is fair.
Parasite won Best Picture. It's okay.
We're all friends.
We're all friends.
Thank you, Nikella.
This.
We can edit this out.
Well, I'm not.
guys,
I'm
I
keeping
have
it.
to cough.
I'm keeping everything. I'm keeping
My
our
throat was
50-minute
really
intro.
itchy, and I
before we
was like,
start
my
talking.
eyes were starting to water, and I was like, oh man.
Oh, now we can start the podcast, guys. Sorry, this is we haven't been recording this whole time.
I'd have been a rip.
Yeah, but
I would have died.
yeah, but
I would have gone home.
I am a head out.
I'm
all right, I'm done. Bye. Okay, so we've basically destroyed this movie because it's not good.
Ben, do you feel confident? Is there any more anger that you need to let out about this movie, or are you fine?
Ben had some issues. Like I didn't.
If
love
this movie were a person, I would allow this movie into a friend group and kick another certain person will just stay out of it forever.
What?
I think I understand.
It's
what
an
you're saying.
inside thing. You guys might be too tired to get it.
I
I
understand.
don't think anyone listening to this podcast is going to get that, but
No, that was for the people. That was for the people in the room.
The loop.
I understand what you were saying.
That was
You're
sound-
saying
that sounds
this
like-
movie is
It's a cryptic
blank.
message.
this sounds like this is a more positive message
No.
about the movie than what you've been saying.
I did not like the movie. Like I said, I gave it a 3. But there were, I don't know.
You said your piece.
I've said my piece. This movie sucks. If I were to rate it on a scale of 1 normal turd to like a Triceratops turd from Jurassic Park, it would be about 5 Triceratops turds.
Jeez, all right.
Speaking of dinosaurs,
heard
can we watch Velocipaster soon, please?
No, please.
Yes,
God.
it's
I'm,
getting a
Close
sequel.
that.
I'm done watching movies.
We'll talk about it later.
But yeah, cool. Does anyone have anything else they want to say?
I will.
Fuck Parasite.
DSM.
Maybe
BDSM.
I don't get that joke.
Do we have to show
you
her the
gotta see
BDSM?
I was
I am
so
going to see
out of the
Parasite.
loop. Everyone always says it.
I'm tired and a little salty that we
don't
tied
get it.
because Parasite won. That's the only reason why I'm saying fuck Parasite.
I once took a
Kobe
bong
and I
hit.
tied at our
Parasite,
Oscar viewing
now I have
party
to listen
at
to
16 out
everyone
of
talk
23,
about how
and it's
good
because of fucking
is,
Parasite.
And it wasn't that good.
Agree to disagree, Nicole. The movie's a masterpiece.
So
I don't
A whole
mind.
bunch of old white men disagree with you,
I-
Nikhil. How does that feel?
Yeah, you know what?
A bunch of 60 to 80-year-old white men.
Yeah, and you know what? Fuck you guys. You're gonna die off soon, and the world will finally be at peace.
thank you. I appreciate it. I once took a bong hit from a guy named Junho, so it was really, really pretty good.
Get out of here right now. Leave this room.
I'm waiting to use that all morning.
Well,
how to end the podcast.
It does sound like we're done with
Yeah.
Birds of Prey
Ewan McGregor was the best part of the movie.
and the
No, he
fantabulous
wasn't. He was
emancipation
hilarious.
of one
He
Harley
was not
Quinn.
funny. He was
I was-
a child. And
I was
then
dying the whole
old,
time.
Awkward man.
I think the group agrees that Canary, and Huntress were the best parts of the movie.
The best parts of the movie were the end credits.
The best part was the soundtrack.
Soundtrack was
Soundtrack
alright.
was
like the
okay.
soundtrack of the score.
Shot. I hated that cover. That
The
can go
score.
down.
They used a
I
weird
like
Score,
that.
not the
That was
soundtrack, but the
good.
score.
So like, certain parts of the soundtrack were good, but the score.
You liked the score then?
I enjoyed the score.
I don't remember the
Okay.
score.
I don't remember it either. I'd have to listen to it.
Okay, well, I think this is the end. It's 11:48.
I'm
We just-
really
Yeah, let's
sorry
go to
for
bed.
We
anyone who
rock
listens to
climbed
this.
before we saw the movie,
Let's-
so we're smart.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah,
We
thank
ate a
you
bunch of
guys.
pizza.
Thank you guys for watching and listening. And this is the What Even Is Film podcast. Thank you. This is Birds of Prey. We're gonna peace out now.